along, we've been telling you about Cleveland abandoned. It turns out the problems we've uncovered go back decades.
Some areas have a lot of urban blight, which creates risk for people.
Abandoned homes, they are just the beginning. Untested rape kits, lead poisoning, increased sexual assaults. They all affect some people more than others, and it all depends on where you live.
Researchers at Case Western tell News 5 this is no coincidence. These neighborhoods were targeted.
Nearly a century ago, the areas where immigrants and people of color lived were redlined, literally redlined on a map. The people who lived there were denied mortgages, and it's been a struggle ever since. News 5's Amanda Van Allen has been poring over the research. She joins us live now from Case to tell us about the lasting impact.
Danita and Rob, researchers here at Case say a lot of the struggling communities are located on the east side of the city. Now, they say during the 20s and 30s, a lot of those places were redlined, which means people who wanted to get mortgages there couldn't even do that. It was banned 50 years ago, but the effects of redlining are still felt today.
They mapped out different parts of the city and determined based on the types of areas whether they were good investments for mortgages or not.
The folks that were redlined or denied mortgages, Case Western Senior Research Associate Rachel Lovell says were mostly immigrants and African Americans, and they largely lived on the east side of Cleveland. Today, those same areas remain riddled with problems.
We looked at lead poisoning of children. We looked at high-speed internet access as other types of variables. We've also since looked at other health-related variables like asthma.
In addition to the health-related issues and access to resources, those same historically redlined areas have a much larger issue. The chance for women being sexually assaulted is significantly higher.
We coded a great deal of information about the locations of these sexual assaults and then mapped them.
And remember the tens of thousands of untested rape kits that were just sitting on police shelves for decades and were finally tested this year? Well, according to the research, most kits were again from those same redline neighborhoods. Lovell thinks the lack of lighting, cameras, and east side neighborhoods overrun with abandoned homes increases the risk.
Some areas have a lot of urban blight, which creates risk for people to be moved into that area and sexually assaulted.
A blighted home on Cleveland's east side is where 14-year-old Aliana DeFries was kidnapped, raped, and eventually murdered. Her body not found for days. While this Case Western research details critical issues so many families are facing every single day, researchers say it also points to the solutions needed for recovery.
People don't come away with the idea that, never go to the east side. The east side is completely dangerous, but instead talk about it in its larger context. Solutions need to be found to make those areas safer for the residents who live in those areas and are at high risk for being sexually assaulted.
Now, Lovell says the team has been working on this research for more than 3 years. If you'd like more information on it, head to our News 5 app. We are live tonight in Cleveland. Amanda Van Allen, News 5.